guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books and Shame here with some bingeable romance series recommendations. These are all romance series that I think that you would start and not be able to stop. I have not finished all of these series, but there's only one where I've read the first one, but I have a good reason why it's on this list. And then the rest, I've read at least 2 in the series, and a lot of them are longer series, and I'm just gonna go ahead and get talking. Okay, so the first one is the one that I've only read 1 in the series of, so I'm just gonna get out of the way, but it's because I just finished reading it, and it is Crow by A. Zavarelli. And for me, a bingeable series has a really engaging plot that you have to get to the next book. And if it's a series of like standalones of like different romances of different couples, it means that I have to like fall in love with the next couples in that book. And so in this one, it is Crow or Lachlan and Mac or Mackenzie, and it is their romance, but the next 2 books are about characters that I fell head over heels for in the first book. It is a mafia romance. We have Crow, who is in the Irish mafia, and then we have Mac, whose best friend was kidnapped or taken or stolen. She doesn't know. It's been a year now, and so she decides to infiltrate the mafia herself, and that means getting close to Lachlan, and she's trying to find a friend. And so she's a heroine who can stand up for herself. She can take care of herself. I loved her. I love this book. But we have the couple for the next book I'm so excited for. It is someone who was like her bodyguard basically in the first book with a dancer at the club that Mac gets a job at. And then the third book is about a Russian hacker and someone, and I don't want to spoil who the someone is, but I am so excited for the next 2 books. I finished this book a week ago, so the fact that I already want to continue on the series means it is something that makes me want to binge it, because I am really bad at finishing series and I typically wait like forever until I finish it. So the fact that I wanted to read it like now as soon as I want to means that it was good. The next one I actually did finish within a month, and that is the Vegas Nights series by Christina C. Jones. This one, I feel like they're a series of novellas and they just have a trope for everybody in each of these books. The first one was a marriage in trouble, so our couple, we meet them when they're already on the brink of divorce, and it does have to do with having kids, so none of that going in. But then the hero kind of like kidnaps her to like force her to talk it out. They talk to their friends a lot, and their friends, like to the hero, are like, stop being stupid and go talk to your wife. And I loved the honest conversations that they had with their friends. This one was a really good romance. And then book 2 is a friends to lovers romance. They wake up married in Vegas on page 1, and they've been friends for over 20 years. So it is a really great romance, and he has a child already. He was divorced and she does not. And then the third one is a very, very different one. The series follows siblings. So in this one, it is the last sister, and she has a romance with a motorcycle gang president and motorcycle club president, and he meets her at her like shop. She like works on bikes and stuff, and he orders a bunch of bikes for his club, and he's like super into her. There's so much chemistry between them. It was great. These all are so different, but has something for everybody. Then we have the Mindf series by S.T. Abbey. This one is another series that I have been just devouring back to back, and I've only read the first 3. There's 5, so I need to finish it, but it's a series where it ends on a cliffhanger, and I'm like, I need to know what happens next. Like, give me book 2 now. I don't love the covers, but the series itself is so good. They are about 100 pages each, and then I think the last 2 books are around 150 pages. She is a serial killer killing off men who have wronged her in her past, and he is an FBI profiler, and he is working her case, and he's working other cases along the way, but they're dating. They meet in the beginning. She is always closed off to people, but they meet at a coffee shop and really hit it off, and he's like, you're just so perfect, and she's like, trust me, I'm not perfect. And it is so good. Like, this is a series where I will turn to my sister and tell her everything that's happening in it. I don't normally do that, especially if I think like she's gonna read it, but in this one I was like, I don't even care if you're gonna read it. I'm gonna tell you everything that's happening, because it's just so good, and I can't wait to finish the series. So this is definitely something you're gonna want to read and read entirely through until you're done. The next one is the one I actually have in hardback, and that is the Bridge Kingdom series. This one, again, has a cliffhanger at the end that really makes you want to read book 2, and there are going to be more books in the series. I believe the first 2, though, which I've read, are only about this couple, and then the next 2 are going to be about a different couple, and I don't remember which couple that is. It could be one of 2 different couples I have in mind in this book. But this is our heroine. She was raised with her sisters to be pretty much assassins, and they know one of them's gonna be married off to a rival kingdom, and they've been training their whole lives to kill him and like infiltrate his kingdom and let their kingdom infiltrate it. And so our heroine is chosen and they fall in love. So she's supposed to be there getting his secrets to take him down and kill him, but they fall in love in the process. I loved these two books so much. It's definitely very, very slow burn, especially book one, and then there's a huge cliffhanger after the end of book one, and then book two picks up right where book one leaves off. If you love fantasy, this is definitely a series you're not going to want to stop reading. Then we have a series that's a little hit or miss for me because I loved two and I didn't love the other two. Well, I loved three actually, because the fifth one is like kind of in both this series and another series by this author. That's the Spindle Cove series by Tessa Dare. I think I already did this video and talked about the Castles Ever After series, which I love that series. And then this one is about this place where spinsters go to hang out and like live. And so in the first book, it is, I don't even remember what the first book's called. I didn't love the first book, and the second book though, it was one of my favorites. It's A Week to Be Wicked. It is so good. It's a traveling romance. They travel to Scotland together. They're kind of betrothed, kind of not, but then they decide yes. So she's also a kind of paleontologist. She likes fossils and stuff. And then the third book I didn't love, but then the fourth book I did love, which is Any Duchess Will Do. She is a barmaid, and his mom, he's a duke, his mom pretty much like kidnaps him and takes him to Spindle Cove to find a wife, and he chooses the barmaid to like prove a point to his mom and asks the barmaid to pretty much fail at becoming a duchess because he doesn't want a wife, and if she does that he'll pay her and she can like live a happy life without him, but they fall in love in the process. So this one's really great. And then the last one I really loved as well. They think that, so like our heroine and someone, it's been a while since I've read this, are like in a room and someone else is in it, either that room or right next to them, like having a good time together, and people think it's them, and so like she's determined to figure out who it is, but her mom sees it as an opportunity to like get her a good husband. So it's really funny. These are like laugh out loud hilarious. I love this series so much, and if you're okay with like mediocre books in between really amazing books, you need to pick this series up. The next one is a series that I absolutely love with all my heart, and I'm excited to read more by this author, and that is the McLean Brothers series. If you love series that follow siblings going through them, I think that's a really fun way to do series, then you'll love this one. Our first one, he is in college, so he's one of the younger siblings, and though there's like more younger siblings, and he is actually deaf, and our heroine is in his class, and his brother-in-law is actually the professor, and so his brother-in-law kind of like meddles and stuff, and he gets a later book, but our hero is like he's deaf, and so our heroine sits down in class, and the professor's really rude to her because she's a soccer player and she needs like different things that will like accommodations because she's gonna miss class because of sports and stuff, and she needs like extensions, and he's like rude about it, and so he asks our heroine to like ask the hero for help, and she doesn't know he's deaf, so they really start off on the wrong foot, but it is so sweet. I love this romance so much. I love that she's a soccer player. He is still dealing with the fact that he is deaf because he used to be a soccer player and he lost his hearing because of an illness, and it's really hard adjustment for him. He doesn't really want to take the plunge and get implants and like get a surgery for his hearing, and so it's a really great romance. The second one is also one I really loved. It is another brother. He is a hockey player, professional hockey player, and our heroine has rheumatoid arthritis. She is also autistic, and she works for the hockey team, and so it's kind of friends to lovers because the hero's like, I know we can't do anything about this, but he's liked her for so many years, and it is so cute. There's like a nursing back to health scene because she gets sick, and it's so adorable. And then we have the third one, which is a marriage and trouble romance. It is the professor from the first book and the McLean Brothers' sister, and it's so good. Like, we have a lot of family time in this one because they all go on vacation to Hawaii together. They go to therapy together. The series is just so amazing, and I'm excited to continue on when the author releases a new book. Then we have another mafia romance series, and that's Kirimura Chronicles. I read this for a reading vlog and literally listened to audiobooks back to back to back, and I would just like sit and listen. I usually don't do that with audiobooks. I only listen to audiobooks when I'm doing something, and then like I'll physically read if I'm just sitting, but I was just like sitting in my bed listening to the audiobooks because they were amazing. Our first one, he is a fighter. He's part of the mafia, and he goes to like this bar and fights and stuff, and our heroine has no idea like anything about the mafia. She moves in with her dad because her mom's going to rehab, and her dad's really not a good person either, and she gets a job at the bar, and then he sees her and he's like, she's too good to be here kind of thing, but he helps protect her and they fall in love. I really love this one. The second one is also amazing. She was sexually assaulted when she was young, and so she is terrified of men and touching anybody, but she has to get married to someone in the rival mafia so that they could just like form alliances, stuff like that, and so they do get married, and she doesn't want him to touch her, but he is like I realize you've been hurt and you need to tell me who it is so I can take care of them and, you know, teach them a lesson. And so I loved that about him. I loved how just patient he was with our heroine. So this one was fabulous. And then the third one is also like amazing. This one, he kidnaps her because she is part of the rival mafia and he is angry because he's the capo of the Kirimura, and so he kidnaps her, and she is the daughter, and it's on her wedding day, and it's someone like she's been betrothed to for a while, but then she starts falling for him. Nothing is forced in here, everything is consensual. She ends up falling for him. He's part of the rival mafia and he's a really bad guy, but it was so good, and I'm hesitant to continue on because I've heard the rest of the series isn't as good as the first three, but the first three are just like gold. They're amazing. Then we have another historical series, and that is the Sophie Smith series. Again, I have not finished it because I've heard the last one is not good, but the first one is a brother's best friend, kind of friends to lovers trope. There is another like nursing back to health scene in here. If you want a video of nursing back to health books, let me know. I saw someone had done it on booktube and I was like, that is a great trope to do, so I might do that later on. But this one is really cute because her brother was in a duel, and so her brother has to flee the country and asks his best friend to watch over his sister, and they fall in love. The second one's about the brother who's in the duel, and he is back in town and is really into, I believe she was the governess, and but it's like a class difference, and it was really fun. And then the third book is about the other guy that was in the duel with the brother, and he had his leg like shattered in the duel, and so he's very like angry at the world, and it's with a girl who thinks that she's at fault for something and she hates him, and it was really, really sweet. The third book's my favorite, but I really love this whole series. The fourth book I have not even picked up because I've heard it's really bad, but I don't know if I'll continue on with that, but the first three, amazing. Then we have the McLean Brothers series by Alexandria House. I actually have two series by Alexandria House, so I have only read the first three, and then I read a novella in these, but I think there's four. So I do know that the first one is between two single parents, and she works for a jeweler, and he is a like famous rap star, and it's hate to love. They get off on the really bad foot. I listen to these on audio though, which I definitely recommend doing, so this one I really enjoyed. The second one, he is a pro basketball player, and he is like helping out at this like recreational center for kids, and our heroine works there. She has a son who also plays, she had a child very, very young, and her son now plays pro basketball too, so like things get a little dicey there. This one was a lot of fun. The third one, Nolan is like a more serious brother, and I think he works with like film and stuff, and our heroine's an actress, and she's actually the assistant to the heroine of book one, so we get to see a lot of the siblings in these books. I will say book three wasn't my favorite. I did like 1 and 2 more, so that's why I haven't gone on to book 4, but book 3.5 is actually also a bodyguard romance, and I love a good bodyguard romance. So the series is a lot of fun. Like I said, on audio it's great. The next series I also listened to on audio, which is the Them Boys series by Alexandria House. These ones are really short, and there's a lot of chemistry between our characters. The first one, they meet at a reunion, and it's a long distance relationship, and this one was a lot of fun. The second one, I will warn you, there is cheating in the second one. They both have different partners when they do get together, but they say that they're staying with their partners for a specific reason, and there are trigger warnings for abuse as well. Our heroine has a son, and she's in a relationship, and he also has a girlfriend, and they really like each other. So that's what this one is. Like I said, they're really short audiobooks. I think they were about like 3.5 hours long. So if you want a really quick series to get to, read this one. I haven't gotten a third book yet. I've only read the first 2, but there are 3. Then, of course, I have to do another Christina C. Jones, and that is the Inevitable series. I've talked about Inevitable conclusions like all the time. This one, they are older. They're like in their late 30s. Our heroine has a grown daughter who is an actress. Our heroine also is like a director of like musicals and plays and stuff, and so she falls for her best friend that she's had for almost 20 years. They tried something in the past. It really didn't work out well, so they didn't want to ruin their relationship, so they agreed to be friends, and now they're kind of at the point where they want a little bit more. The second one is about a friend, I think, from the first one, and she is definitely more closed off to people. It doesn't really want to give our hero a chance for a specific reason, but then her walls slowly break down and they fall for each other. The third one was the one I was most excited for though, because that is the daughter's book of the heroine in book 1, so we do get to see the hero and heroine of book 1 in the daughter's book, which I really liked, and she falls for someone she meets at a like a grief meeting, like for people who are grieving lost loved ones, because because she wants more experience as an actress, and she meets him and she feels bad because she doesn't want people to look into his past and like harass him because she is kind of famous, and so she's hesitant to start a relationship there. This series is great. I really loved all three, so I'd recommend picking this up. And the last one I have is the Flock series by Kate Stewart. Again, I've only read 1 and 2, but I really want to read book 3. The end of book 1 will make you want to dive right into book 2. I don't really know how to explain this series except for our heroine is spending the summer with her dad before she goes off to college. She hasn't really talked to her dad a lot, but she's working at his like factory that he owns in town and meets someone who works there, and then like goes and spends time with him, goes like parties with him, and then falls for someone, and then there's like a crazy ending. And then book 2 has a different love interest, so be aware of that going in, because I kind of got attached to the love interest of book 1 and I was annoyed that we changed love interest, but there's a time jump in book 2, so it feels like we really get to know these characters and their lives and go through different things with them. And there's also this like secret society kind of backdrop that I'm still confused about that I hope we get in book 3, but this is definitely a series where I was just like, I need the next book, I need the next book, so I definitely want to pick up the next book to see how our couple ends up. This is a series you have to read in order, and there's not a happily ever after until the end of book 3, I hope, I think. I don't know how book 3 ends, but you definitely have to read all of them to get that conclusion. And those are some series that I recommend to binge. They're series you're going to pick up and want to immediately pick up the next book and pick up the next book, and you won't want to stop. Let me know down below what your favorite bingeable series are. I've done this video a couple times, so I'll link those down below if you're like, hey, you're missing this series, because I probably already have talked about it in that video. But let me know if you've read these, what your thoughts are, and if you have any other recommendations, I'd love to hear. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.